Hello my friend and welcome to my channel Faisal Azib. I hope that you are well. Now that you have a solid foundation of JavaScript, I want to talk a little bit about the actual process of learning how to code and give you some motivation. I think this is an important aspect of course like this, but everyone else simply seems to overlook this topic for some reason. So let me share my advice and how you should learn to code as a complete beginner in this video. And to make this a bit more fun, I will start by telling you how to fail at learning how to code. And to do that, meet Karim. So Karim has been learning how to code for some time now, but he is failing miserably. He is just not going anywhere. I guess he is just not receiving the right advice. So let's see what Karim is doing wrong so that you can learn from his mistakes and learn how to code is now time. Oops. So, the first mistake that Karim made was that he didn't have a clear goal at the beginning of his learning journey. Okay? He simply started by watching some course and reading some tutorials, but he would just blindly copy the code without caring how it works. Even worse, sometimes he would just copy and paste code from tutorials or sites like Stack Overflow. While learning, he didn't reinforce what he was learning in the course and tutorials by doing a small challenge or taking note. He also didn't practice coding outside of the course, and he didn't come up with his own project idea to improve his skills. Then, whenever he did a code bite, Karim would quickly become frustrated whenever his code was not perfectly clean or efficient. Karim also lost motivation pretty quickly because he thought he could never know enough. He could never know all there is to know, and he is really a big mistake. Also, he was just always learning in isolation without sharing his process. Finally, after finishing a couple of courses, he thought he was now a web developer and could start applying to jobs. But no one would take him because recruiters soon found out that he couldn't even build a simple app on his own. So that's a long list of mistakes. But it is not too late for Karim. Okay, brothers. We can fix all these mistakes right. So let me show you how. So, the first mistake is relatively easy to fix. What you need to do is to set a goal for yourself. Think about this and actually write it down on a paper or something. Make this goal specific, measurable, realistic, and time-based. For example, your goal may be, I want to become a front-end web developer within 1 year. From there, you can then develop a plan on how to get there. It also helps to know exactly why you are learning to code. For example, are you trying to switch career, or do you want to find a better job, or are you just starting a new hobby? Whatever it is, important to be aware of the reason why you are doing this, because this will help you stay motivated when learning becomes more and more difficult. To stay motivated, it is also great to imagine a big project that you want to be able to build by the end of your learning journey. This has always helped me tremendously. With this project in mind, you just need to research the technology that you need to learn and then learn them one by one, step by step, in calm way. Next up, instead of simply copying code from a course or tutorial, always make sure that you really understand the code that you are learning and typing into your editor. Don't move, please, on if you don't understand. Also, always actually type code. Don't just copy and paste from a tutorial or site like Stack Overflow. This way, you are training your brain to remember the syntax later. Reinforcing is one of the most important learning techniques. It means that after you learn something new, like a new JavaScript feature or concept, you use it immediately to make it realistic in your brain. You can do this by taking notes, and by challenging yourself with small coding exercise and challenge. For example, let's say you just watch a video about function. So now you know what functions are and you saw some example. But now as a next step, you need to reinforce this knowledge by writing a function for your own personal environment. For example, you might need to calculate the average of your university grade, or you might need to convert recipe ingredient from ounce to grams while cooking. So just write a function that does this task for you and then have some fun with it. Coming up with your own idea like this and solving them will absolutely boost your confidence in your programming skills, and really take your time with this. There is absolutely no need to complete any course as fast as possible, okay? Now, it is absolutely normal that in the beginning it is hard to come up with your own challenge. That's why I included countless coding challenge in this course for you. You can also use a special challenge platform like codewars.com, where you can find thousands of coding challenge for different skill level for free. I have actually solved some of Code Wars challenge in real life with some friends, and I can tell you it's ton of fun and really helpful. Okay? One of Kenny's biggest mistake was to not practice coding outside of the course environment. But practicing on your own is the simple most important thing that you have to do. And I can't stress this enough, okay? Coding your own project without any course guiding you is really not optional. If you just follow course and don't code on your own, you will never ever be able to write programs on your own. So, come up with your own project idea, no matter how small or big, and just build them. Or you can copy part of popular site or application. No matter what you do, really challenge yourself, make it difficult and grow by overcoming obstacles. And then now it's scary to leave the comfortable environment, of course, where you just have to follow the teacher because you will fail and you will make mistakes, and it will be difficult to code on your own. But getting out of our comfort zone is the only way we grow. So don't be stuck in the tutorial hell, which is exactly the state of not being able to leave tutorials. There is more about this whole journey at the end of this video. Now, when you practice, you should never become frustrated with the quality of your code. Do not get stuck by trying to write a perfect code, which is really clean or really efficient. So none of that matters in the beginning. You are still learning. So just write as much code as you can, no matter the quality. Really clean and efficient code will come with time. Okay? It is just natural progress. Also, you can always come back and refactor and improve code later if you want to. Another important piece of advice I can give you, and I actually give it to myself from time to time, is to embrace the fact that you will never know everything there is to know in web development. Web development is this hug field, and so it's completely normal and acceptable that you will never know everything about web development. So don't put too much weight on your shoulders and create too many expectations. Okay, so in fact, the best developers and teachers have no problem in admitting that they do not know everything, like the legendary Keel Simpson, who admit that even after 20 years, it is still a struggle to make his code work and understand it the next day. So, do not lose motivation if you feel the same way. Also, do not compare yourself to top developers who do know a lot more than you, because of course they do. Many of them have been this for over 10 years or maybe even 20 years, but nobody was born an expert. And even experts are still learning all the time. Now, here it's actually pretty important that you have a well-defined goal for yourself. Because if you do, you can just focus on what you need to learn in order to achieve that goal. Everything else is unnecessary. It is just nice. For example, if you don't need a backend in your app, then you don't need to learn Node.js or PHP. Okay? The next mistake that is hopefully easy to fix is to not learn in isolation. One great way to do that is to learn together with other people, no matter if in person or online. Whenever you learn something new, explain it to them because explaining things force you to really understand them first, and repeating a concept will then really make it stick in your brain. That's why many people say that the best way of learning is to teach and actually share that opinion too. Another good technique that many people like, to share your goals publicly. For example, on a social network to make yourself accountable. You can also share your progress on social media to motivate yourself and others. For example, on Twitter, there are some popular hashtags that people use like 100 days of code, CodeUB, and WebDev. Okay? If you use this, you will get feedback and a boost of motivation from other people that are on the same journey of learning to code. It is really nice and friendly community, at least on Twitter, which is what I know and use, so for sure you should try it out. The code on Twitter, remember, is Teams Winners. And finally, the absolute biggest mistake that Karim made was that after he went through a couple of web development course, he thought that he was now a web developer, ready to take a job. Now, this is probably the biggest misconception that people have. Just take a couple of courses and you are done. But no, that is just not how it works. So I am sorry to bring you the bad news. But course like this one can only take you so far. They will give you an amazing foundation, of course, but they are just the beginning of your journey. You need everything else that we just talked about in this lecture in order to become a successful web developer. So let's talk a little bit more about this and the journey of actually becoming a job-ready developer. Okay? So here is a very true graph that shows you how your confidence in your skills change as you become more and more competent as a web developer. And this is useful because it allows us to plan a strategy for your learning journey. So, when you start, you are in the everything is awesome phase. You are studying one or more tutorials, understanding how the code works, and taking a lot of challenge, just like I mentioned earlier. Now you are not really competent yet, but are starting to get confident and are pumped to keep going. So, this is probably where you are right now and will be through this course or any other course that you take. But then, as you start practicing on your own, you reach the cliff of confusion. Here, you realize that coding may be a lot harder than you thought when you no longer can just follow a course with predefined path. So your confidence is gonna start to drop a little bit and you may realize you can't build anything meaningful on your own yet. But don't lose motivation here, please. Just keep writing lot of code on your own, no matter how much time you need to spend fixing bugs and searching for solution. It's all part of the journey and it's still gonna be fun. Slowly, you will become better at writing code, so you will become more competent, but your confidence may drop even further because now you start to realize just how much more you will need to practice until it can build a real application on your own. You are now in the so-called pit of disappear. But believe me, it is not as bad as it sounds. You may start to feel lost, but great solution for this is to start learning with other people like other beginners or even other developers who might mentor and help you along the way. To leave the pit of disappear, you must keep challenging yourself. You cannot stop here, okay? So keep building bigger and bigger projects. Run into a lot of problems and keep fixing them. You really need to have this mindset of fixing problems in order to become a web developer. It's what we do all day long basically. At this point, it is also important to keep in mind that learning how to code is really hard thing to do. So, don't beat yourself up for finding it too difficult and for being stuck all the time. It is difficult indeed, but it's gonna be worth it. And trust me, we have all been in that place, and everyone who successfully works in the industry today just start out the same as you right now. So really, congratulations for even starting this path. It's already a great achievement in itself. Now just need to continue building stuff. If you want to know about me personally, I learned to code by starting projects that were actually way too difficult for me at the time, but that made them real challenge that made me grow tremendously. For example, I tried and I failed to a football simulation game with Java, but I figured it all out in the end, and it made me grow so much. And I am sure that the same is gonna happen to you too. Anyway, back to the journey here. At certain point you will start to see the light. So at this point you are getting quite good at writing code and your confidence will finally start to grow again. You are now in the back to awesome phase. Now, you can either start learning new technology or you can start rounding up your skill set with the best coding practice and tools that you will need for job. For example, like version control, testing, task runners, etc. If your goal is to find a new job, you are probably starting to be ready to apply for a job. You need many things for that, like a really good portfolio, but that is topic for another day. Just be aware that even when you are working, you will never stop learning. So you are never really done learning how to code. Web development changes really fast, and so you will need to be constantly adapting to new technology. Alright, and that is basically the typical journey from start to job ready. Now please, don't be scared by what I just told you. I am telling you all these things to not scare you, but to prepare you because I really want you succeed on this path. And I want to achieve real success, not like fake success. There are just too many people out there who will tell you that coding is easy and that you will magically become a web developer in 2 months, if only you take their course. But this is simply not true. So, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that coding is easy. It is not easy. But with the right attitude and the guideline I showed you in this video, you can totally do it. And I mean that because I have seen it happening time and time again. So many people have learned how to code from complete scratch, switched careers, found a better job, and improved their life dramatically. And I mean many of my students, and also many other people that I know personally, it's real and you can achieve the same thing. Just keep going, keep coding, keep reading, stay motivated, follow me in this course, take care of us, I tell you goodbye, wassalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.